Win last night. The Dodgers beat Colorado 8-1. 6 RBIs for third baseman Max Muncy, including a grand slam in the 7th inning. The Dodgers wrap up their 3-game series at Colorado today with a day game. The Angels completed a 3-game sweep over Boston with a 5-2 win. At 40-40, the Angels are at 500 for the first time since May 23rd. The Angels are off today. They're at home Friday night against Washington. The Lakers had no first-round pick last night in the NBA draft. They gave it to New Orleans in 2019 in the trade to get Anthony Davis. The Lakers have the number 55 pick in tonight's second round. The Clippers had the last pick in the first round at number 30. They used it to select Yannick Conan Niederhauser, a 7-foot center from Penn State. Niederhauser grew up in Switzerland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you. 1, 2, 3, go! Ha, ha. Let's keep it going. I'm gonna try to keep it coming. But I'll be alright, as long as I can find the groove. Yes, I will. Yeah. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. Yes, I will. I'm just happy to see you talk to me back in style.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavismiley.show.com or wherever you get your podcast and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today in our second hour conversation with Philly's own Tim Golden. It's always fun to talk to Tim Golden because he is a professor, a philosopher, an author, and an attorney and legal analyst who weaves all of that pedigree into the discourse. We'll talk about keeping faith and sanity in this peculiar American moment when Tim Golden joins us today in hour 2. In our third hour, we'll talk politics with Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist, author, and now director of the Center for Urban Journalism at Morgan State University, Leonard Pitts Jr. But in this first hour, 2 more conversations on the B side of this hour, a conversation with our regular contributor, Ruben Navarrette Jr., on ICE showing up at Dodger Stadium in Chavez Ravine, and another black mayor, Brandon Johnson, pushing back on ICE in Chicago. ICE is here, ICE is there, ICE is everywhere. We'll talk about it on the backside of this hour. But we commence today's show in conversation with the pastor of the famed Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, who also serves the state of Georgia as a Democratic member of the United States Senate, Raphael Warnock. Reverend Dr. Senator Good Brother Warnock, how are you today, sir?
Great to be here with you, Tavis. Hello, everybody.
It's good to hear your voice, man. Great to have you on the program. Before I jump into the politics here, I was reading, of course, preparing for our conversation last night, and it hit me. I did not realize, is my math right? Is this the 20th year of your pastoring, Ebenezer?
That's right, Tavis. 20 years I've been at Ebenezer Church, brother. You're getting old.
I love that. So first of all, congratulations on that. This audience knows my love, and so do you, my affinity for Dr. King. I regard him as the greatest American this country's ever produced, and of all the books I've written, the one about him, that book, Death of a King, about his last year, still is my favorite book. Just say a word, if you will, about what it has meant to be the pastor of Ebenezer for 2 decades now.
Thank you so much. It's a great honor. Like you, I have been just captivated. My imagination was captured as a kid by the moral voice and power of Martin Luther King Jr. I was born a year after his death, but around age 7 and continuing as the son of 2 pastors, I was moved by the way in which he translated his faith into a moral vocabulary that inspired people to stand up for themselves. He did it with courage, with dignity, with a deep sense of principle, even when it meant he had to take great risks. And in many ways, he's been the litmus test for me of what it means to have your faith live in the public square, which I'm trying to do both in my pulpit and on the floor of the United States Senate.
Yeah. What say you, finally here, before I move on to the politics, about a lack of moral clarity in our country right now? Put another way, a lack of moral voices in that public square.
Yeah, Dr. King brought both moral clarity and courage. And you got to have both of those things. And he just stood on principle when it came to Vietnam, for example. He took a turn that upset a lot of people, even within his own coalition. But at some point, he just made a decision that he was going to stand up for what's right. I think that's the reason why his voice is more powerful, ringing from the crypt, than most politicians in office.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Wanted to start our conversation with that shout out to Raphael Warnock for being the pastor of this amazing church in Atlanta. Of course, been there more times than I can count, but what a great celebration of him leading that church for 20 years alongside now his work in the United States Senate. The rest of the time with Senator Warnock, we'll talk about the politics. I invited him on specifically to talk about what Donald Trump calls this big, beautiful bill. Democrats are calling it a big, ugly bill. So we've got 15 or 20 minutes here to talk to Senator Warnock about that when we come forward. June is Black Music Month, as you well know, and you know how we do it around here. Every day during the month of June, we choose a different artist of the day, and we weave in out of these amazing conversations with all these great guests, playing some of the best of their catalog. We've done it all this month, gospel and hip-hop and jazz and folk and R&B, reggae, you name it. We've done it every day this month. And today, our featured artist of the day is Whitney Houston.
Friday night, you and your boys went out to eat. Then they hung out, but you came home around 3. Yes, you did. If 6 of y'all went out, then 4 of you were really cheap. Yeah, 'cause only 2 of you had dinner. I found your credit card receipt. It's not right, but it's okay. I'm gonna make it anyway. Pack your bags up and leave. Don't you dare come running back to me. It's not right, but it's okay. I'm gonna make it anyway. Close the door behind you, leave your key. I'd rather be alone than unhappy.
Generous listening.
Charitable listening.
It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
BET and PBS, The Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley. Made fresh daily in the Mert Park,
Los Angeles, California.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
It's the best of Whitney Houston. All 3 hours of our program today, we're going to tap into her catalog and play some of the best of Whitney as we continue our conversation with our guests throughout the day and celebrate June as Black Music Month. We're honored to have her as our leadoff guest today, U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock. Senator Warnock, it appears that this bill that Trump calls his big, beautiful bill is shrinking in the Senate. Tell me more, sir.
Well, the big, ugly bill has run into a big snag, as you point out. The parliamentarian is stripping parts of the bill that she says is not eligible for this process called reconciliation that they're trying to pursue here in the Senate. It's a strictly partisan approach to things. Both parties do it. They have a trifecta, and so they're trying to pass this big ugly bill through both houses of Congress, and then for the president's signature. What your listeners need to know is that this is the largest transfer of wealth in our country from the bottom to the top. This is Robin Hood in reverse. They are wanting to cut some $800 billion out of Medicaid. That means less coverage for seniors, for disabled people, even for children. 71% of Medicaid recipients in my state are children. They want to cut some $300 billion out of SNAP. That's going to hurt not only families but farmers and rural grocery stores. They want to cut tax credits that we provided to create clean energy jobs that are literally creating a manufacturing boom in my state and in other places. And why are they doing all of this? To give a tax cut to the wealthiest people in the country. They are insisting on yet another rodeo in the failed economic theory of trickle-down economics. Tavis, I've been hearing about this since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Started with Ronald Reagan, and we know 40 years later that wealth doesn't trickle down. The way to build wealth in this country is from the bottom and the middle, and to spread that wealth. It's better for everybody, including millionaires and billionaires. But here's where we are, and we continue to fight.
You know, the thing that unerrs me about this, and there's no naivete here on my part or your part for that matter, but I'm thinking about your state in particular, and all of those MAGA supporters who got behind Donald Trump. The majority of them are closer to poverty than they are to billionaire status. Not just in Georgia, but indeed all across the country. Again, no naivete here, but why would you try to pass an agenda that is antithetical to the best interests of the majority of the folk who supported you? Put another way, I've said any number of times on this program that the ultimate bringing down of Donald Trump may be offending the base of people who supported him, because you can give these tax breaks for the rich all day long, but there are a whole lot more poor people who supported Donald Trump than the oligarchs we saw on the stage with him at the inauguration.
Oh, absolutely. My mama told me, and your mama probably said the same thing to you. The birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
If you want to know who Donald Trump is thinking about, just look at the people who are on that stage, as you point out, during his inauguration. Some of the wealthiest people on the planet, including the wealthiest man on the planet. That's who he's fighting for.
Yeah.
That's who he's thinking about every day. And this bill will mean a lot of pain, a lot of damage all across our country, but particularly in rural communities, especially in red districts where we've seen rural hospitals close all across our country, all across my state, in rural communities where a larger percentage of the population there are on SNAP than in urban communities. And this is going to create a lot of pain. Oh, by the way, they're adding $3 trillion to the debt. So I want you to think about that. In the past, you and I remember the arguments of Republicans that we've got to cut these entitlements, we've got to cut these social programs because this debt is unsustainable. That has been the arguments that we've heard in the past. So you have to ask yourself, well, if they're going to create this much pain, if they're going to cut as many as 16 million people, you heard me right, as many as 16 million people will lose their health care as a result of these efforts, because not only is this going to hit Medicaid, it's going to drive everybody's health care premiums up because of what they're not doing in this bill. If you're going to cut 16 million people off of health care and you're going to cut SNAP, and you're going to go after programs like Head Start. I'm a Head Start alum. It gave me a start as a poor kid growing up in public housing. It exposed me to a love of literature and reading. You ought to ask yourself, well, what's the end game? It's to give a tax cut to billionaires and millionaires And even as they take food out of the mouths of hungry children and health care from your grandmother and your grandfather, they're going to add $3 trillion to the national debt. It is both fiscally irresponsible and morally reprehensible.
There are a few questions I want to ask now, given what you've just said, and I've got about a little less than 10 minutes left with Senator Warnock, so let me move through this more swiftly. I want to circle back to what I said a moment ago, Raphael. I mean, I've known him for a long time. Senator Warnock, forgive me.
We've known each other.
Yeah, forgive me, sir. Let me circle back to
That's what my mama named me Raphael. No offense.
No, I appreciate that. Let me circle back to what I said a moment ago. I am not suggesting that we should go along to get along. I'm not suggesting that we should sacrifice all those precious millions of fellow citizens that you referenced a moment ago that are going to be hurt by this big, ugly bill. But it does seem to me on some level that this is, if it passes, a self-inflicted wound that Donald Trump and Republicans are doing to themselves. Again, in other words, if the people who supported them in Georgia and all across the country are hurt by this, there's going to be a whole lot of pain and a whole lot of screaming between now and the midterms. This may be Republicans undoing themselves. Again, I'm not suggesting we should, not fight back and sacrifice all these people, but politically, it seems to be a huge mistake on their part.
Listen, Donald Trump was hired by the people of my state. They elected me and they elected him.
Mm-hmm.
They elected him to lower their costs. I mean, that was the message of the campaign.
Exactly.
We're gonna lower your costs, and I just want people to think about what Trump has done over the last 6 months. He hasn't done a single thing that would lower your costs, that would lower your grocery costs, that would lower your health care costs. In fact, he's added a 10% tax on everything through these tariffs. And so the people have gotten a bad deal, and I think folks are already experiencing buyer's remorse. Now, they're doing this again, and I don't want to bore the listeners through, the intricacies and tactics of Senate procedure.
Mm-hmm.
But they're doing this through reconciliation, which you can do when your party has the House, the Senate, and the White House. So what I'm telling you is this is all Republican votes anyway.
Sure.
And they can pass this without a single Democratic vote. And we're certainly not going to support this. But what we are trying to do is to help people to understand what this bill is and what it's going to do. It's going to create a lot of hurt and a lot of pain.
How do, and I'm glad you went there, in a moment like this, how do Democrats in the Senate, or for that matter in the House, how do you fight back?
Oh, I think we're fighting back right now, and it's having an impact. Let me just say this: we are raising the questions in our committee hearings. We're talking about it. I'm here talking to you about it because there are a lot of Republicans who are in swing districts. They got to stand before their people in a few more months. Have you noticed a lot of them have been ducking and hiding? They don't even want to hold town hall meetings.
Mm-hmm.
For good reason, because this bill is very, very unpopular. So we will continue to push back. I'm going to introduce several amendments to this bill later this week or whenever they get around to introducing it. I don't know. They've run into a snag right now. I don't know if it'll happen this week or not. But I'm going to raise several amendments as I did at the beginning of this process. One amendment I raised to the bill, I said, well, since you all are saying that this is about waste, fraud, and abuse, and you claim that you're not going to cut coverage, why don't you roll that language into the bill? So I offered a very simple amendment, Tavis.
Mm-hmm.
I said, let us commit here tonight that you will not cut people's coverage, even as you go after so-called waste, fraud, and abuse. As you might imagine, that amendment got voted down by the Republicans because they know the math ain't math, and you can't cut $800 billion out of Medicaid without hurting a lot of seniors, disabled people, and children.
Yeah. Let me circle back to where we started this conversation in the few minutes I have left here. I started out congratulating you, and I did so sincerely. Just mind-boggling last night to realize it had been 20 years since you took over as the pastor of Ebenezer. You're right, I am getting old. But what does it mean for you to be in the Senate trying to honor his legacy through your storied work and witness, and to be still talking about this issue of poverty?
Yeah. Well, like Dr. King, I'm a Matthew 25 Christian.
Yes.
Where Jesus said, I was hungry and you fed me. And in one instance, he says he says it in two ways in that same passage. He said, I was hungry and you didn't feed me.
Mm-hmm.
I was sick and you didn't visit me. You didn't give me any health care. When, Jesus, were you hungry? When were you in prison? When were you an immigrant? When were you sick? He said, inasmuch as you've done it unto the least of these, my children, you've done it also unto me. So that's been my North Star. That's what has guided my ministry some 20 years at Ebenezer Church. And as we are going through this process, I'm now in the Senate, Tavis, but the last time a Trump administration was trying to push through a very similar bill, the year was 2017. I was not in the Senate. I came, though, during that debate, and I came as a pastor, as an activist, along with other pastors. And we were praying and singing in the rotunda of one of the Senate buildings, bearing witness against this bill, because as I said then, and I continue to say, a budget is not just a fiscal document, it's a moral document. Show me your budget, and I'll show you who you think matters, who you think is dispensable. And if this budget that they're trying to pass were an EKG, it would suggest that America, at least my Republican colleagues, have a heart problem, and they are in need of moral surgery. And so I came to the Senate back in 2017 when I wasn't a senator to bear witness against the last terrible reconciliation bill that the Trump administration was trying to push. They were trying to cut health care then. They were giving a tax cut to millionaires and billionaires on the backs of the poor then. And the Capitol Police said, if you don't disperse out of the rotunda, we'll have to arrest you. And what they didn't know was that I had already been arrested. My mind and imagination had been arrested by the vision of Dr. King, by his commitment to the beloved community, by his strive, particularly in those last couple of years, for the poor and the Poor People's Campaign. My imagination had been captured by the ethic of the scriptures that I preach every Sunday. And so they arrested me that day, and I thought it was a small price to pay, standing up for the things that I believe in, and I'm deeply honored now to be here in the Senate. That day I was fighting on the outside. Today I'm fighting on the inside, but it's the same fight. And we continue to soldier on.
I got a tight 60 seconds, and so do you. You got to get back to work in this last quick 60 seconds. This War Powers Act is coming up for a vote in the Senate. Democrats were left in the dark. Everybody left in the dark about this attack on Iran. Can you say anything about your thoughts, at least on the War Powers Act vote?
Well, I got the news as everybody else. I was giving a speech when I heard that that the president had decided to bomb Iran. Let me just say that sending our young people into war is the gravest of responsibilities for an American president. This president has not explained to us why that action was necessary right now, and he owes the people a greater explanation. And there is a distinct role for Congress here. I'm going to a briefing in just a few minutes. Because I got a whole lot of questions about why we're here.
As do we, sir. So when you get answers, please share them with us. He is U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock from Georgia. And again, now 20 years as the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church in the city of Atlanta. Senator, thanks for your time. We'll do it again, sir. Have a great rest of your day.
Bless you, brother.
Stay strong. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free Coin Collector Bonus Pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The Trump administration is limiting classified info shared with Congress after a leak suggested Iran's nuclear program was only briefly delayed by the U.S. strikes.
We make the laws here. We're entitled to the classified information, the Intelligence National Security Committees.
That was GOP Representative Michael McCall. He opposes the move, saying most leaks come from the executive branch, not Congress. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration's plan to shut down Job Corps centers nationwide. The Department of Labor cited poor outcomes and rising costs, but critics say the closures would harm thousands of low-income youth. The case is still pending in court. And rapper Fat Joe is denying explosive allegations from a former employee who's suing him for $20 million. The lawsuit accuses Joe of sexual abuse, coercion, and exploitation. On social media, Fat Joe called the claims disgusting lies and vowed, "I will not break." Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
So the solo car crash in Irvine has turned into a Sigler, 133 South, just as it connects to the 405. That connector roadway is going to be closed for a bit. Stop traffic coming from the 5. Also, it's still a crawl going through Anaheim 5 South right at Brookhurst. Carpool lanes blocked for a car and motorcycle crash. Slow speeds from Auto Center Drive. Then in Roland Heights on the 60 East, the on-ramp to Nogales is going to be partially blocked for a 2-car crash. Watch for some slow in there.
Is this the tether? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Both of LA's Major League Baseball teams got a win last night. The Dodgers beat Colorado 8-1. 6 RBIs for third baseman Max Muncy, including a grand slam in the 7th inning. The Dodgers wrap up their 3-game series at Colorado today with a day game. The Angels completed a 3-game sweep over Boston with a 5-2 win. At 40-40, the Angels are at 500 for the first time since May 23rd. The Angels are off today. They're at home Friday night against Washington. The Lakers had no first-round pick last night in the NBA draft. They gave it to New Orleans in 2019 in the trade to get Anthony Davis. The Lakers have the number 55 pick in tonight's second round. The Clippers had the last pick in the first round at number 30. They used it to select Yannick Konan Niederhauser, a 7-foot center from Penn State. Niederhauser grew up in Switzerland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Yeah, yo, come on. Pick up the drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power! Fight the power! One make yeah.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
It's the best of Whitney Houston, all 3 hours of our program today. We continue our celebration of June as Black Music Month, and we choose a different artist of the day every day, as you well know, and we tap into their catalog of hits and weave and then bob and weave in and out of all these conversations with great guests all day long on our program. So today it is Whitney Houston. I thank Senator Raphael Warnock for that conversation, starting us off today. Talking about this, what Donald Trump calls the big beautiful bill, Democrats are calling the big ugly bill, and you heard Senator Warnock for the last half hour go in on that bill and all the ways in which it's going to hurt and harm poor people and black people in this country, and why Democrats are at least sounding the alarm about what's in the bill. He acknowledged that because this is a reconciliation bill and they have a trifecta, there's precious little the Democrats can do. They don't control the House, they don't control the Senate, so precious little they can do except get the word out to everyday people by coming on programs like this, talking about what's in this big, ugly bill. And I thank Senator Warnock for that half hour, and we had a chance to congratulate him on his 20th anniversary as pastor of the famed Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. A conversation now with two of my colleagues, Jesse Jackson Jr., former member of Congress himself, almost 2 decades, host of his own program, the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on my home station in L.A., soon to be in syndication, and Dr. Nicolai Corte, my White House correspondent, host of his own show, A More Perfect Union, on my home station here in L.A. Pleased to have them both on this program to sort of unpack what Raphael Warnock was saying to us moments ago. Congressman Jackson, let me come to you first. I said to Raphael, I've known him for a long time, I said to Senator Warnock, I had to catch myself a few times on that because we've been friends for so long. I said to him, it seems to me that Donald Trump and the Republicans are about to self-inflict, which is to say that when you look at the ways in which this bill is going to harm poor people in this country, the same kind of poor people in Raphael's state of Georgia and elsewhere, in Illinois where you are, in L.A., in California where I am, in D.C. right now where Nicolai is, all across the country. Poor people are going to be hurt by this bill. These same poor people who voted for Donald Trump because they thought he'd be better on the economy, he was going to lower the price of eggs, lower their prices across the board. They're about to get the exact opposite of what they thought they voted for, and that, again, I regard as a self-inflicted wound that might be the thing that we need to put a speed bump, at least in Donald Trump's way. Am I overreading it, Jesse Jackson?
No, I don't think you are, but there might be a caveat.
Okay.
And the caveat being that I think that there is no doubt that the pain that Donald Trump's base is going to feel is extraordinary. But I was speaking with a guy named John Lasciotis, And John Lasciotis is a white American. He hangs out around a lot of MAGA people, but he's not MAGA. And he said something that I found particularly puzzling and interesting. He said, they said, or many of them believe, that if the pain is inflicted on us, they don't mind the short-term pain that they believe they might endure. In other words, they believe first in the supremacy of the MAGA movement and their own white supremacy. And if to hurt us means that they have to endure a short-term pain, they're willing to endure it. The problem is the pain from this particular bill is so long-term, the nation itself may not be able to recover or come out of it. That's the little caveat that I would add, but your analysis, Tavis, is spot on.
Yep. How do you read it, Nicola Corte?
Well, Tavis, I can tell you that right now on Capitol Hill that a lot of Senate Republicans are nervous, and rightfully so. But it's interesting to see which Senate Republicans, are coming out and throwing cold water on elements of this bill. Senator Josh Hawley is someone that does not publicly disagree with Donald Trump very often, but he has publicly disagreed on this so-called big, beautiful bill, so much that in an effort to win him over, Republicans in the Senate Finance Committee have put this new compromise to set up a stabilization fund to help rural hospitals, because Senator Hawley has been, really using the bullhorn to say, wait a minute, this so-called big, beautiful bill is going to harm folks in America in rural Missouri. It's going to be a problem. And so, he's saying that we need this $15 billion fund. Senate Republican from Maine, Susan Collins, is saying it needs to be closer to $100 billion. And so there's lots of disagreement right now, more than what we've been hearing on the airwaves among Senate Republicans.
So Senator Warnock agreed, Jesse, that this bill in the Senate is shrinking every day. No question about it. It's shrinking. It's not the big, beautiful bill that the House sent to the Senate. Again, it's diminishing every single day. I guess my question is, at what point, and I don't ask you to speak for these MAGA supporters, Jesse, that's not my intent, but at what point will Donald Trump have inflicted so much wound on, so much pain and on his base that they will, in fact, start to wake up? I say all the time that folk eventually wake up, Jesse, because either they see the light or they feel the heat. I'm not sure they will ever see the light to the point you made a moment ago. But again, because the pain of this is going to be so intense, a lot of poor people in a lot of red states and red districts who supported Donald Trump are going to feel this pain. And they can say all day long, we'll deal with the short-term pain, but it depends how you define short-term. Are we talking about 2 days, a week or two, or to your point, much longer? That pain is certainly going to persist to the midterms and past. At what point will he have done damage so much to his base that they start to feel the heat, if not see the light?
So I think Nick Cordelai helped us with that answer when he said, Tavis, that one senator wants to add a $15 billion short-term improvement to the bill for rural health care. That's to get them, I guess, through 2026. Another senator says, well, how about $100 billion? Well, that gets them through the next senatorial elections, 2028, and then everyone feels it. In other words, they're trying to insulate with these little bitty improvements through the election cycle that their base will not feel it. But the more than, I think, 600, 700, 800 billion in Medicaid cuts that this bill represents, at some point in time, there's not going to be a vehicle that's leaving either the House or the Senate that allows them to keep adding 50 billion here, 20 billion there. At some point in time, everybody's going to feel it. And even more tragically, I think it's $10 trillion in tax cuts. It's going to look like every time we fight for health care, every time we fight for Medicaid, every time we fight for a program, it's going to look like we're running up the deficit, that we're running up the nation's debt, not the tax break that he's giving to Jeff Bezos so he can have a wedding in Venice with Miss Sanchez.
All right, man. Jesse Jackson Jr. or Nicola Lacorte. When we come forward with these two gentlemen, I put a question to Senator Warnock that this audience heard, and I got a bright audience. They heard the same thing I heard. I closed our conversation, Jesse Nicola, by asking him about this War Powers Act vote that's coming up in the Senate here shortly. And with all due respect, he tiptoed around that. He said to me, Tavis, I'm going to a briefing on that right now, and I got a whole lot of questions. So he did not tell me how he intends to vote or how he's going to show up on this War Powers Act, but it is absolutely clear, as we all know, that the Senate, the House, and everybody else was left out of Donald Trump's decision to bomb to drop these bunker buster bombs on Iran. We had Al Green, Congressman Al Green, on this program yesterday talking about his bill. It didn't go anywhere. 79 people came along with him, but this bill to at least start the impeachment process of Donald Trump in the House for just violating the Constitution, bypassing Congress in this decision. So when we come forward, I want to ask Jesse Nicola about this War Powers Act coming up to a vote in the Senate and what they make of what Donald Trump has done in Iran, and whether or not the Senate and the House can get a hold of Donald Trump. We'll do that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Are you ready to play? Then jump into the LA84 Foundation's Free Playday Block Party, a community celebration for all ages, including live music, dancing, LA's pro sports teams, great local food trucks, plus special giveaways for you to take home. Enjoy an exciting, fun-filled day for the entire family. Join us Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA84 Foundation's Free Playday Block Party.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Jesse Jackson Jr. and Nicola Lacorte. I want to give you some sound of Donald Trump. You know Donald Trump and his bluster. Just take a listen.
They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes, then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language.
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain word.
Given the 30,000 pounds of explosives and capability of those munitions, it was devastation underneath Fordo. And the amount of munitions, 6 per location, any assessment that tells you it was something otherwise is speculating with other motives.
Had we not succeeded with that hit ended the war. That hit ended the war. I don't want to use an example of Hiroshima. I don't want to use an example of Nagasaki. But that was essentially the same thing. That ended that war. This ended that with the war. If we didn't take that out, they'd be fighting right now.
Here's Donald Trump bragging about what he did in Iran, comparing it to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Jesse Jackson Jr., but the Senate, the House, was left out of any consideration before he made his move, and now we got the War Powers Act being considered. Your thoughts, sir?
It's going to be difficult because this is a ask of Congress after the fact. Normally, when the United States government commits itself to the kinds of actions that the president has taken unilaterally, the Congress is thoughtfully involved in the process. The Gang of Eight is brought together. They make decisions. And even if, in fact, the president has to make the decision, the Gang of Eight, which is genuinely bipartisan, later comes back to the Congress shortly thereafter and explains that the national security of the United States was at stake, and now we're asking Congress to consider this resolution, but the president had to act in the way in which he did. There's no evidence that that was the case in this particular case. Again, so the Tim Kaine resolution is after the fact. But even more troubling and more difficult, at least for me, is that 99% of members of Congress who have supported Israel, who've supported a two-state solution, who've been held to a standard of stopping Iran from ever getting a nuclear weapon, have for the last 20, maybe 30 years been voting over and over and over again for sanctions and all kinds of other penalties on Iran to keep them from getting a nuclear weapon. So then, fast forward to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He drops these bunker busters without a resolution, and now you have members of Congress saying, well, you don't have our authority. I'm not so sure, Tavis, to be candid with you. Yeah. This is in a hole that Congress dug itself into that it cannot dig itself out of now.
I receive it in our remaining moments with Jesse Jackson Jr. and D. Cordelai Corte. I want to ask Dr. Corte about this impeachment bill that we had Congressman Al Green on talking about yesterday that really went nowhere. I'll play some sound for U.S. Speaker Johnson on that impeachment bill and get D. Cordelai Corte's response when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431. 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431. 800-868-6431 and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
My time is tight. Just 3 minutes left here. Here's some quick sound from Speaker Mike Johnson talking about this impeachment.
Now, naturally, we've got some Democrats here on Capitol Hill who they have an allergic knee-jerk reaction to anything that President Trump does, no matter how noble and good. And they of course, are opposed to his latest work to make Americans safer and bring peace in the Middle East, if you can imagine that. Some have even called for his impeachment over this. It's absolutely outrageous. It would be comical if it were not so serious and stupid. Let me be clear and be as clear as possible. The strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities were clearly within President Trump's Article 2 powers as Commander-in-Chief. It shouldn't even be in dispute.
And yet Al Green, Congressman out of Houston, Nicordelai, introduced that bill saying that Donald Trump had violated the Constitution. Again, he didn't get it passed. Indeed, a majority of Democrats voted with Republicans to table this measure. But what say you about whether or not strategically, politically, it's advisable for Democrats to be talking about impeachment right about now in the 90 seconds I have left, Nicordelai?
Well, I think it's important for Democrats to register their disagreement, their displeasure, their discontent, their disapproval with the president. I think the lack of moral leadership through the eyes of so many folks that are part of the Democratic base is a part of the reason why Democrats find themselves in the wilderness. I think Representative Green's instincts to file these articles may play well with certain elements of the Democratic base. But make no mistake about it, Democrats have no appetite for another impeachment inquiry, and they're not alone. 344 to 79 voted to table Representative Green's resolution. That means no traction, but it doesn't mean that it is without moral courage.
Yeah. If you're in L.A., 2 hours are listening to our program around the country from L.A. Right after me today, 2 hours of the Jesse Jackson Jr. show. Later today in our drive time, A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nicordelai Corte, who is also our White House correspondent. Always honored to be in conversation with my colleagues and tap into their brilliance about the issues that we are wrestling with in real time. Jesse, I appreciate you. Thank you for your time, sir.
No, it's always a pleasure, Tavis.
Nicordelai Corte, thank you, sir. I appreciate you, my friend.
Appreciate you.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. The Trump administration is limiting classified info shared with Congress after a leak suggested Iran's nuclear program was only briefly delayed by the U.S. strikes.
We make the laws here. We're entitled to the classified information, the Intelligence National Security Committees.
That was GOP Representative Michael McCall. He opposes the move, saying most leaks come from the executive branch, not Congress. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration's plan to shut down Job Corps centers nationwide. The Department of Labor cited poor outcomes and rising costs, but critics say the closures would harm thousands of low-income youth. The case is still pending in court. And rapper Fat Joe is denying explosive allegations from a former employee who's suing him for $20 million. The lawsuit accuses Joe of sexual abuse, coercion, and exploitation. On social media, Fat Joe called the claims disgusting lies and vowed, "I will not break." Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
So the solo car crash in Irvine has turned into a Sigler 133 South, just as it connects to the 405. That connector roadway is going to be closed for a